Do you know you can run GPT-style AI directly inside SQL in Databricks without any Python or API calls? And not just sentiment analysis, you can fix grammar, classify text, extract structured information, run fully custom prompts, and even productionize your SQL as a scheduled job inside Databricks. Today I am going to show you exactly how. In this 1 hour masterclass, we are going end to end. We will download a Kaggle sentiment dataset, ingest it into Databricks, use built-in SQL functions like AI analyze sentiment, AI classifier, AI fix grammar, AI extract, and the most generic and powerful AI query. And then we will do something most tutorials don't show. We will use AI query with a schema to extract structured JSON output directly from a language model. But we don't stop at experimentation. I'll show you how to run these SQL commands inside notebooks using something known as %SQL magic command, and then how to use Spark variables to run those same commands, and finally, how to build a production Databricks job that reads from a catalog, runs AI transformations, and writes the enriched dataset back automatically. I can even configure it to run every 1 minute. This is how you move from demo to real pipeline. If you are a data engineer, a data scientist, a GenAI enthusiast, or someone working with Databricks in production, this video will surely give you some hands-on tools which you can directly apply in your jobs. Let's build production-grade AI pipelines using just SQL inside Databricks. Let's begin. So in this first step, I would like to grab some online data which I can use for this project. So let me go to Kaggle and search for sentiment analysis dataset. Okay. So I have got this. I've got several links here. Social media sentiment analysis. Let's explore that and see if we can use it. So okay, let it load. Meanwhile, I'll open some more data if possible. Sentiment analysis dataset. Okay, so this dataset is for text classification and it is about 23 megabytes. And you see comments are there. So I think it looks good. Although it has the correct sentiment also, but let's download it because we can just grab this comment and then use it for our purpose. So I'll just download, but before that I'll have to sign in. I'll sign in with Google and I'll use my email ID. Now once I am logged in, I'll just navigate here and I'll download this dataset. Although, okay, so I'll download the data as zip. I'll grab it here and I'll possibly open the zip. Desktop. Okay, so I've got this dataset ready. Now the next step would be to basically prepare a data ingestion. Now in the data engineering terminology, data ingestion is referred to as ingesting your data that you would like to analyze or that you would like to build models upon into the whatever data platform you are using, be it Databricks, Snowflake or Azure, anything. Okay, so I'll just navigate to databricks.com. I'll log in and after that let's log in first. And in your real commercial setting, you might be having streaming kind of process where data is coming on a constant basis, daily, hourly, or whatever you are basically having, whatever the kind of system you are having. So I'll navigate to data ingestion. Now under the data ingestion, you have got this so-called connectors, Databricks connectors. Now what you can do from it is you can connect your Databricks to various other sources. One of the prominent use cases that people use Databricks for is connecting the Databricks with Amazon S3, where you can just connect it via cloud storage, and then the moment the new files appear in the cloud storage, it automatically gets reflected in the Databricks. But we also have option to basically manually add data, and that is what we are going to use in this video. So I'll click on create and modify table. Okay, so now one question that I would like to highlight here, not question but rather one point that I would like to highlight here is that the data is created as a so-called table, and that table is known as data table because it follows something known as data lake concept. Okay, it is a you can say theoretical concept which basically bridges the gap between data warehouse and data lake. Now you also need uh, a so-called schema under which you have to create a table. Now where does schema lies? You need to navigate to catalog. I'll just click on OK. Catalog, under catalog you can basically see your organization, and then under organization you can see several catalogs. So I have got that workspace catalog, and then I have got this system catalog. Now you could have other catalogs as well. Maybe you could have some AI specific catalog where you have several things under that. Now under the catalog you can have a schema, and under schema you can have several things like tables, views, and in views you can have both views, normal views and materialized views, and then you can have functions, you can have models. And if you are not familiar with models, Databricks can be used for training models and all, and then after training the model you would like to register them. That's the place you register. So we will be using this default schema. I'll expand this. I've already created one table, but I would like to create one more table just to showcase you. So I'll just click on default. The moment you click on default, you see this option of create. Now if I click on this create option, I will get several options. You can create table, you can create model, and if I click on table, then I will be navigated to this data ingestion tab. Let's see. So if I click on this table, now I am under the data ingestion tab. Now from here, what I can do is I can just browse, and then I can upload this sentiment data.csv that we just downloaded and extracted, which is about 24 megabyte file. So I'll open it. Now first it will upload it, and then it will infer the columns, and it will basically preview it. And also while uploading it, because it is going to use the compute, now you see it has started running this serverless starter warehouse, because to upload this data from the from your local system to Databricks, it needs a compute, and that is why it is using the serverless starter warehouse to basically upload the data. So let it basically load the preview. So you see we have got the preview here. So we have got the comment and we have got the sentiment. So we have got two columns here. So now finally, after you confirm that this particular view or preview is looking good, I would like to come here and I would like to create table. So here in this process, it will use the serverless compute that we just saw. Let it wait for happen. I'll pause this video and I'll resume. Okay, so as you can see, our sentiment data has been loaded. Now the moment it is loaded, it automatically creates this AI suggested description. I can accept it, or if I want, I can just edit this description. Now this might be useful for an organization which is dealing with various tables, and they would like to clearly describe what is there in this data. So I'll just save it, and after saving it, you can see several information. Okay, here in this under the sentiment data. Now under sentiment data as well, I can create several things. You see this? So you see the if I clicked on the catalog, I can create under catalog various tables, functions, and volumes. Now under the table, I can create a query, I can create a notebook, I can create dashboard, vector search index, and things like that. Okay, so next we will be exploring how to take this data and apply various AI related functions within SQL. So let us now explore how we can use AI functions, in particular AI analyze sentiment on the dataset that we just ingested. I would like to navigate to SQL editor for this. Although you could have just used SQL query from the catalog only, but let me create a new query, and within this query I want to use, so each query is tied to a given schema. You see, it has automatically detected that I will be using workspace and default. If let's say you have to use some other catalog, you click on it and you select the relevant catalog that you want to use. And after selecting the catalog, you would like to select the schema, right? So that in this SQL editor, all those tables which are there within that schema are present for you. Okay. So now let's start exploring the data first. So I'll start by selecting all columns from my sentiment data. Although I have got two sentiment data available, but I am trying to import that data which I just ingested. So I'll just click on run all, or you could have just entered shift return. Now you see currently it is fetching result. But in your case, since my serverless warehouse was already up and running, it did not take much time. In your case, it could have happened that this serverless starter warehouse was not ready, so it would take some time to basically load it. Okay, and it also depends. So it also depends. So the amount of time it takes to run a given query also depends on how much data you are trying to process. So for example, this took about 2 seconds. Let's try to load the data which had only sample 10 records. So if I do command enter, you see this was much quicker, 0.58 seconds, which means 580 milliseconds. Let's go back to our previous data. Now I've got sentiment data. Now I would like to showcase you how you can use AI analyze sentiment. So it's pretty simple, and Databricks has done a good job at making it very simple. So what I would like to do is I would like to select the tweet column, or rather let me first again run this query to see what is the exact column name that I am trying to get the sentiment of. So it's called comment. So I would like to get comment from it. So let's run it. You see this color coding, so it's automatically done. So kudos to Databricks again. So after loading this comments, now I would like to apply sentiment on it. So I will do comma and I'll call this function, and it makes it really easy. So AI analyze sentiment. I will provide the comment, that is the column for which I want to get the sentiment of, and then I can also provide an alias as sentiment of comment. Okay, and if I hit enter, now let's see how much time it takes, because this time the amount of data set is large. It might take some time to basically process this AI analyze sentiment on all the columns that are available. So it took 12 seconds. You see why it took 12 seconds. So let's try to answer that. Let me open a new query so that this table remains intact, and within here I would like to get the count of all columns. So select count of comment from sentiment data. So if I hit enter, let's see how much count we are dealing with. So we are dealing with 240K, that's a lot of text, you know. So we are dealing with something which is close to production. Although in production, your organization might be dealing with millions and billions of data points, but it's close. It's not something like toy data set. Okay. So now let me come back to this. So how do we interpret it? So the way it is working is, it is trying to call a model, a LLM model, on your text, that is comment, and it is trying to instruct that LLM model to get the sentiment in one of three categories, and those categories are negative, positive, and neutral. You see, need Apple Pay physical credit card. So it looks like neutral, but let's read a negative. Negative. Okay. Retailers don't even contactless credit card machines like they support Apple, don't like high fees. Okay, so you see this. There are some words that are clearly indicating that this comment might be a negative. But you see, 11 seconds it took to process all those 250K sentiments. I feel it is much, it is really fast. Okay. All right. So now what we can do? Now what we can do is, we can take this query and we can attach it into a Lakeflow job. And you can think about creating a automated pipeline which basically does this automatically for you for each incoming data that is being streamed into your Databricks catalogs, or maybe you can connect this to some other sources as well. And if you want me to cover that as well, maybe I can cover that in some later videos, because this is not the scope of this video. So I hope you understood. Next, let us talk about, so what we will do is, we will step by step, we will uncover the root function, root AI function that is being used for all these higher level AI functions. So we have just covered AI analyze sentiment. Let's cover now AI classify. Okay, so now let us understand how we can do the same thing but with a slightly different function, and that is AI underscore classify. That function basically works like this. You provide it a text, you provide it a list of labels that you would like to classify your text into, and then boom, it works just like a magic. Under the hood, it is calling one more AI functions, which we will cover in some later part of this video. But for now, let me show you how AI classify would work. So I would like to call this AI classify on comment, but now I have to also provide a array of you can say possible labels that I want my comment to be classified into. For now, let's go with positive and negative only. Now the LLM, the backend LLM, is forced to classify the comment into either positive or negative. Let's see how it works. So if I hit Control Enter, Control Return, it will take some again 11 to 15 seconds, but let's see. It's fetching results. Results are being fetched. Although the query has done running, it ran in 8 seconds. But yeah, you see, there were some queries, some comments that were classified as mixed or neutral by our earlier use of AI analyze sentiment. But now we are seeing them classified into positive and negative. You see what is happening? We have forced the LLM to use these labels only. But let's do something else. Let's provide one more label. And you also see the mixed use of single quotes and double quotes. I intentionally did it to show you that both formats work. You can provide your labels, possible labels, into both single quotes or double quotes. You can also provide mixed and neutral. Now, after doing that, you have effectively created your own AI analyze sentiment function. Now you can use AI classify, but with some customization. Let's do command return. It's saying what is the error? Mixed. One second. Let's see. Let's run it like this. It was working here. Okay, here it's working. So somehow when I did mixed, I think it supports only two labels. No, I don't think so. Okay, let's see. Let it run. Okay. I got it. So I possibly yeah, I might have forgot the comma. Now it's working. So uh this is how we use AI underscore classify. What is happening? So see, if your use case is just to if you have, let's say, tweets or maybe comments about your brand coming on a constant basis, then you might be having a processing job where you wanted to understand those comments on tweets so that you can take actions on a regular basis. You can set up these functions very easily, and I can show you that in some other video, how you can basically take this query and integrate it into some sort of job or continuous streaming pipeline or flow, lake flow jobs. Okay. So here, you might have a use case where you want to classify it into maybe urgent and not urgent. Simple as that. Because urgent comments or urgent queries might need to be resolved immediately, and that is what we are trying to run here. So here what will happen is, it will tell us which comment requires immediate resolution. Not urgent, not urgent, not urgent. So I don't see anything that is being, oh, okay. So you see, one is urgent, that is fire suppression. It is related to fire, and it is related to something really critical, and it needs immediate resolution. Okay. So now we are basically done with AI classify. So we have covered two AI functions now. First is AI analyze sentiment, then AI classify, and now we are going to look at AI extract. Let's see that. Okay, so the syntax of AI extract is very similar to AI classify. So let me, without modifying it, let me run it, okay, by just saying AI urgent. Oh, sorry, not sorry, I'm really sorry. So AI extract. Okay, so I did not do anything. I just ran this AI extract. I provided the comment, and I've provided this array of two things. Let's see what happens. Okay, because see, you don't have to run everything perfectly for the first time. You have to try out bunch of stuff, and you have to see how it looks. Okay, how it looks, and then from there you can modify your thing. Okay, let's do command return or control enter if you are on Windows. Let's see what it does. Although I am aliasing it as something which is not right, but let's see. Okay, this time it is taking longer than what we had last time. Last time it was running, I guess it ran in about 11 seconds, but here it is taking close to, it's now 30 seconds, half a minute. Let's see. Why it might be taking more seconds, more time? Because classification Databricks might have optimize certain things. But let me pause this video, because I think I would not unnecessarily want you to wait. Okay, let me pause and let me come back. Okay, so it ran completely in 1 minute 17 seconds. But see what it has extracted. So essentially, now let's try to understand what happens when we call AI extract using two arguments inside the array. So what happens is, it gives you a, you can say, JSON or dictionary if you are familiar with Python. In this JSON object, you will have two keys, and the key names would be this that you provide. So urgent that is required brand new iPhone order, not urgent, that is null. You see, urgent, non-urgent, null. It is trying to basically urgent, holy crap. So it is trying its best to extract certain information, right? But let's see what else can we extract. So a, a, a person who is complaining about the products uh, might be not complaining but just writing about product might include some information for us to extract, right? So let's see, what I can do is I can maybe extract email, right? Although I see emails is not included in any of the row, but let's try to extract. And it might be a possible use case for you where you want to extract structured information. You might not have comment necessarily or tweet necessarily. You might have some other sort of textual data from where you would like to extract structured information without having to basically. I'll show you in a moment. Uh, how there is a generic function which does all of what we have covered, like AI analyze sentiment, AI classify, but that requires more setup. And AI extract gives you, for example, so in AI extract, you don't have to provide the output type, for example. It by default return object, and this is a good for someone who don't want much setup here. But then there are more generic functions which can be used to basically customize the output format. Okay, so now here from here, let's see if we uh, return and we get any email or not. Although it might take some time, let me run it. Okay, let's run it and let's wait if this time this query is faster. Although I feel this time also it will be similar time. So let me pause this video and let me get back. Okay, so my assumption was correct, that this time the query did run in less time, that is 22 seconds, and last time it ran in 1 minute 17 seconds. So I see that email is not available. So okay, one second. Oh, okay, for this data we do have email, but here the email is basically best email contact. Now you see this, this is the kind of you can say domain, or maybe this is the kind of output that will prompt you to try out more generic solution, because in the generic solution you can provide prompt also, and using prompt you can tell them that only extract email when email is in this format, maybe include at the rate and things like that. But you see, it has incorrectly extracted the email, which could be wrong if let's say you have downstream processing which depend on this table. Okay, I see that I don't see any email data. Okay, makes sense. So now I would like to go ahead and cover the next function, and that is AI fix grammar. Okay, let's look at AI fix grammar. Now you can clearly see that there are some, not some, but in fact all of the comments which are grammatically wrong. Okay, now it is not required to correct the user's comment, the grammar of user's comment. Although you might have some use cases where, let's say, after correcting it, you might want to process it further. So in those scenarios, this functionality by Databricks might be useful. And it is very simple to call. You don't have to basically, um, provide any other argument. So I'll just say AI fix grammar, and inside it I'll just provide my comment. Okay, let's see what it does, and let's see how much time it takes. So it is executing query. Let's wait for some time, and if it takes much time, I'll just pause this video. Let's pause this video. Okay, so it processed all the 250k comments in 18 seconds, which is good, I guess. Okay, and it has done pretty you can say good job. So let's see, let's forget Apple Pay. And you see, let's forget Apple Pay, required brand new iPhone order, use a significant okay. So yeah, It has done some job. So got Apple Pay South Africa, it's widely accepted. Got Apple Pay South Africa, it's widely accepted. Need Apple Pay physical credit card? Okay, so I see it has done some capitalizing and some adding of comma and things like that. So yeah, it has done its job. And although AI fixed grammar is something that I have not personally used in my job, but it's something that you could possibly have some sort of use case of. Okay. Next, we are going to now start talking about some generic functions which could be used to do all these things, but that would require more setup from your side. Let's look at those. Okay, so now I want to cover one function which basically covers all the rest of the more high level functions such as AI classify, AI analyze sentiment, and the function is AI query. Now AI query allow you to basically use the custom models, and let me show you what custom models are supported. So these are supported models. Now you might be wondering, do I have access to these models? Now, when you sign into Databricks free edition or any edition for that matter, if you navigate to models, you will see some models which are already registered there, already are available here, and it will list both models, the models used, models registered by you, the custom models, custom MLflow models, but at the same time the LLM models. So these models, these all models are available, and you can find this list here as well. So for example, if I do Control C, Control V, this should be available here. Okay, so now I want to use these models in my SQL query with my AI function. How can I do that? So let me do select comment from sentiment data. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to, let's say, take this comment and basically summarize it in maybe 2 words. I don't know. I know if it is a good use case or not, but just to showcase. So I'll do AI query, and inside AI query, I'll say summarized comment. So I'm aliasing this return as a summarized comment. Now AI query is a really complex function. The reason I'm saying it is a complex function is because it can, do pretty much everything that we have covered so far. Plus, you can customize it for your own need. So there are two arguments. Now, these two arguments are, you can say, compulsory. There are other arguments as well. For example, response type, response format, things like that. Okay. And you see how response format might be used to get structured extraction from a piece of text. So let me grab some model from here. Maybe I'll use the llama one. So this one, I'll use this one. This one I'll put here. So I have added the model name. Now here I need to provide the text. Now there are multiple ways you can inject this comment into here. I will use the pipe operator. So I'll do comment, and before this comment I'll add a text, and I'll join these two by using this vertical bars. Okay, and I can say summarize the following comment using 2 words only. Okay, it is a very simple use case, I know. Or to basically combine these two, you could have also used concat function, which is offered by SQL. So you can use that. So now let me run all, and let's see how does it look. Obviously, it is going to load this model and then run this model on all of the data that we have. Okay, so it's done executing in 12 seconds. Now let's see how the results look like. Okay, you see, let's forget this, and it say Apple Pay. Apple Pay. It says no support, helpful channel, things like that. So you see this. So we have summarized the entire comment into 2 words. Maybe if I, let's say, want to do some sort of analysis where I want to see if there is there are some critical words into the comment. So are there any critical words mentioned in the comment that requires immediate action? Okay, so let's run this. Now here it is going to basically tell us. Now here it could be much more verbose because we did not limit the output length. We should have said reply in yes or no. Right now we did not say anything like that. We just instructed the model that are there any critical words. Now it will just go on writing down its response. Maybe it could be verbose, but let's see how does it look. And if you want to limit that verbosity, you can just within the prompt you can add this detail that your response should be in maybe 1 word or 2 words. But this time it is taking longer. It has already ran for 40 seconds and it is still running. Let's wait for a couple of more seconds. I think it should be done under 1 minute. Let's see. Meanwhile, we can go through this documentation. So this is a documentation for AI query. So let me navigate to that. And then in the query, you see this is a massive documentation because there are so many different things that you can do with AI query functions that you wouldn't be able to do otherwise. I think it's surprisingly taking much longer than I expected. But initially, when we ran it with our earlier prompt, it took about I guess if I recall correctly, 22 seconds. But let's see. Let me pause this video again. So this time it took about 2 minutes and 17 seconds runtime. And you see most of the you can say most of the summarized comment are very detailed. So as I mentioned earlier, you could limit this verbosity by providing one additional detail that you have to limit the output, the generated output. And I think that is why the latency was much higher this time, because it has to generate a lot of textual data. But there are some critical ones. So critical words that may require immediate action in the comment: walk eggshells, wish could be like. Okay, you see, all right, unstoppable, liquid nitrogen, and things like that. And you see the potential danger. Although the verbosity, that is something that I already mentioned, could be controlled. Okay, so now what else we can do? If you recall, we had been using a lot of functionalities such as correct grammar or AI sentiment classification and AI classification, all those things. Now you can go ahead and create your own custom functions. Those in Databricks terminology are called user defined functions, that is UDF, and those UDFs are created within the catalog, within the schema. So both tables and your functions stay there. So now let me maybe comment it for now. Okay, I'll probably use some details from here, and let me create a function here. So I'll say create function, and I'll name this function maybe correct grammar using AI. Okay, and I'll provide a text argument, and I need to provide the type also. Type would be string. Okay, so after this I will specify the type of this function that it will return. So I'll say it will return string, and returns string, and then finally I will add the return statement, and in the return I'll grab this AI query just like this, and I'll just change the prompt here. Okay, and here in the prompt I can say correct the grammar, don't include anything else, or new. Okay, and you could think about a function where you can also provide one more argument, maybe the model name. But for now, let's not provide the model name. So now it will just return whatever AI query returns. Okay. So let's now try out this function with a sample text. So I'll say correct. I'll just grab this, select correct grammar using AI, and I'll provide some text. This are a nice view. Okay. So this is the my usage. So I'll say as corrected text. So select this, and uh, I'll just call this. Now let me run this all, and let's see how does it look. It says select. Are there any critical words mentioned? One second. Should I also? Huh. Okay. Why it is not taking this? One second. It's saying okay. So let's see why it is failing. Is it because of this usage? One second. Let me run this again. Okay. So syntax error near select. Correct the grammar. Don't include. Why is this syntax error? So I'm trying to call this function. Syntax error. Select. Run all. Why exactly it is wrong? Let me one second. Give me a second. Let me fix this error. I'll get back. Okay, so the error was that I forgot this semicolon. So now it's gone. Okay, so now let us run this. But here notice I'm not using any table. I'm just calling this, one second, a column variable. Okay, text. So let's run this again. I'm using this custom function that we just created on our own piece of text, and we are not running it on a table. But we could have easily done that to make sure it is executed quickly. That is why I ran it using my own text. So you see, corrected text is this is a nice view, and my incorrect text was this are a nice view. You see the point, right? Now with this discussion, what we have done is we have looked at a more generic function, that is AI query, which could be used to basically create more powerful UDFs that are not already provided by Databricks in their default. Although Databricks has done the job of providing most of the functionalities that you could use, but there could be some custom use cases also that you can cover using this. Now let us see how can we use AI query to produce structured outputs. Suppose you have a use case where you want to extract structured information from a query, and you don't want to use the provided function called AI extract, and you would like to create your own functionality using AI query. How can you do that? So let's first of all try to extract it using just prompt. Okay, so I'll say AI query. The first argument will be the model name. So I'll just grab this model, MetaLlama, and I'll provide it here. The second argument will be the prompt. So I'll say extract email and name from the following. Okay, and I'll use the pipe operator to basically uh, for now just I just want to inject something random. Okay, I need quick support. My name is Raj, and head is my email. Very simple task, right? Okay, so if I run this, what happens? Let's see. So I'll say start, attach, and run. It would take some time to basically start the warehouse, and then basically run the query. So let's wait for maybe 10 seconds. Yes, it's running now. And we can see from here this green circle. Okay, so here are the extracted information. You see, we are getting some response, but it is just a plain text. Now, how can I provide the response format? To provide the response format, if you guys have ever worked with OpenAI structured output, you might have already experience with schema generation and all. So you need to basically provide a response format in maybe single quotes. Now, inside the single quotes, you need to provide the schema. Now, how can I do that? I have already prepared one schema here. If you see, the schema is type JSON schema, and then we have got JSON schema key. Under it, we have three keys top level: name, schema, and strict. Name is the name of the schema, and then schema would be the traditional usual schema that you work with. It has properties, and you can also include something like required properties and things like that. So we have got name. Strict would just mean that it will try to strictly extract all the details which are mentioned here, and we can also set it to false so that it can try to extract as much details as it could. Otherwise it would fail in the strict is equal to true case. So I'll just grab this, and you notice here that I have included everything in double quotes because JSON only expects everything in double quotes. So I'll just paste it here. Now if I run this, you will see our output will be of the type object. You see, the type is the object type, and we have got name Raj, email as abc.com, abc@gmail.com. Okay, makes sense. So this is a really powerful feature. Now you might be wondering like how I can create this schema automatically. You don't need to worry about it. You can in fact take help of AI, or maybe there are many online schema builders. You can take help from those tools to build your schema. So those tools can be referred to build this. And in larger SQL query scripts, your script might get longer. So in those scenarios, you might be tempted to use notebooks to run these queries, because in notebooks you can then inject these schemas using Python variables. So that becomes quite handy. Okay, yeah. So far in our exploration of AI functions in Databricks, we have been using SQL editor to try out different AI functions which are provided by Databricks. Now in this discussion, I want to cover how we can use those same AI functions using notebooks. And then not only that, how can we create a Lakeflow job using those notebooks? So let's get started. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead. I'll first of all go to this workspace on the left, and then I'll click on this create. On this create, we will see several options. So from there we can select notebook. Obviously here also we need to attach a compute. Now the SQL warehouse is different from the compute that is used by the notebook. So if you click on this, you will see serverless and serverless starter warehouse. Now this is the warehouse that we have been using to run our SQL queries. But for running the notebook, we will have to use serverless. Why is that so? Because if you click on serverless starter warehouse, it will only allow you to run SQL queries, not Python code. Okay, so I'll just click on serverless. Meanwhile, while it is starting out, we can start talking about the agenda. So the idea is that I just want to show you how you can basically create the AI functions and use the AI functions here. You see, currently SQL is settled. We can click on Python and we can click on this, and it's not limited to that. Each cell can have a different runtime environment. You can just do something like %SQL. Now here you can write SQL query. Let me first of all show you how you can write SQL query here. It is not nothing different than SQL editor. So what I'll do is I can simply do something like select all from whatever the table I want to basically get access of. So workspace dot default dot I want to access, let's say, sentiment data. Not sentiment data because it is huge. So I'll probably use sentiment analysis sample. And if I have to run it, I'll just do shift enter or command enter. Okay, so it will take some time. Let's see. So we can see the table, right? Now here we have used SQL. Now let us run the same, let us try to execute the same thing using Python. When you open a notebook, there is a variable which is exposed to you, which is called as Spark. Now this Spark is a variable which is available, so you don't have to import it, okay? Now using it, you can create a data frame object by doing something like spark dot read dot table. And here you can provide the whole path, that is workspace dot default dot sentiment analysis sample. I can click here, and to display it, I can call a display method. Again, this display is also readily available in this notebook environment. So if I can run this, I'll see the same table, but this time the way we got that table was different, right? Okay, so now coming back to running AI functions. How will I run AI functions here? So to here we already know, right? So let me grab this. What I can do is I can come here, I can select all, and I can also do something like AI analyze sentiment, and I can provide the tweet, and then I can alias this new column as tweet sentiment. Okay, so select all AI analyze sentiment, then tweet as tweet sentiment from this. Okay, so if I do shift enter, I should be able to see the tweet sentiment, right? Okay, so this is one way. What are some other ways? What I can do is I can use this same Spark variable, okay, and I can run spark.sql in it, okay, and here I can do something like I can grab this whole SQL statement and I can provide it here, and let's run this. And I should also save this result into results and then display results. Okay, so you see this. So now we have seen that how you can basically run the SQL, not SQL, but AI functions using notebook. Now, why did I have to show you this? Because I want to now show you how you can use AI functions to basically create a job. Basically, maybe you have a task where every day or every hour a new table is uploaded to your cloud storage, maybe AWS cloud storage, and from that cloud storage automatically that table appears in your catalog. And for now, let's assume that the name of the table is fixed, and the moment table is appended, your job should read it, and then it should create a new table with a tweet sentiment, and from that table there can be another consumer of that table which can basically take that table and maybe export it or maybe use it, or however that person wants. Okay, so how can we create this table? Yeah, how can we basically create this job? So what I'll do is I'll create a new notebook here. One second, let me go to not here, workspace. Yeah, so I'll just create a new notebook, and here also I'll attach this serverless instance, and I will name this notebook as, or not hourly, because hourly I won't be able to demonstrate in this video because I'll have to wait for 1 hour. So I'll just say sentiment job per minute. Okay, I'll go ahead and create a per minute job. Now here the idea would be, let me go to catalog, would be to basically read from this workspace default. Although I know usually people in real organizations don't read from their default workspaces, but let's assume that you have this table which gets created daily, and for now let's assume that it is overwritten, not daily but per minute. Okay, so what our task is that we need to basically we need to grab this table, and we need to create a new table with a sentiment. So sentiment analysis sample, and this sample I need to read. So I'll create a, for now, SQL based job. So I'll do something like, first of all, I want to read and call this function from, okay, sorry, I think I can do it without string. So I need to read this data. Okay, let's run it to make sure it works or not. Obviously it will work because we have just seen it. Okay, so it is working. Now I want to take this result and create a new table. So create or update table workspace default dot, but here I will say sample new, or maybe modified. I don't know, modified. Okay, create or update. One second, what is create or update as. Okay, so now what it will do is, it will take this result, sorry, it will take this result. Why it is not updating? Create or update, what is the syntax error? Create or update table, let me check one second. Create or update table Databricks syntax. Okay, I think update, not update, I guess replay. I see. Okay, so create or replace table workspace.default.sentiment analysis modified. Now it will read it, it will produce this, and it will basically create it. Okay, I know I already have a modified kind of data, but this is a new name. Okay, so after, first of all, let's first of all run it to make sure it works one time, and it won't be displaying any table here. Okay, one second, what happened here? Okay, I think we need to provide a name for this table. So as sentiment, so I'm providing a new column name. Okay, now if I run this, it should work. Okay, sweet. So now we have this new and if I refresh it, this shape table should be created now in here. So this is the table, right? So it has got 4 columns with this tweet sentiment. Now I would like to basically schedule this job. How do I do that? I come here to the top right, I click on the schedule, I click on advanced. I will keep the job name as it is. I will click on advanced, and from I'll change the every day to every minute, so that we can see it right now, while it is being run. Okay, we can leave all the other options as they are, and then we can create it. So this job is created. Now what we can do is, we can go to jobs and pipeline from left hand side, and under that jobs and pipeline we should be able to see this sentiment job per minute. Now if I click on it, you will see past runs. For now it has not executed it even once. If you want to do it immediately, you can click on this run now, but let's wait for maybe 1 minute, and then it will start executing. Okay, and all your past executions will be coming here. And the idea would be, let me also click on this modified table in the catalog. So I'll open the catalog, and I'll open the workspace default tables sample modified. So we will see here this modified table. If I click on details, okay, so we see that it is created at here and updated at here. So 252 is the date at which it was updated last. Okay, you see now currently job is being run and it was successful. So you see this, this is the job name, and in fact you can open this job in a new tab, and you can see all the details about this job. Okay, and this is the query. Now it means the job was successful. Now let us see, let us go to our this modified data, and let us see if this updated at property changed or not. So let's refresh it. So now let us click on modify table again. You see updated just few seconds ago. And if I click see this updated, now it will update this table every minute. Obviously every minute is something that you see a second run also started running. So this is how we basically this is something that we do actually in production. Okay, so we basically read some data, we process it, and we apply some AI functions, and then we output the table into catalog, and from the catalog you can again create connectors to basically export it somewhere else. But yes, so this is what I wanted to show you in this particular session. Thank you.